Okay. Hello, everyone. So I have been just kind of doing a lot of research this weekend and have just been coming across like a lot of weird stuff. And I have been also trying to figure out like making videos, but I think it's good for me to just kind of, even though it's not perfect, to get this stuff out and just kind of into the ethos and just to have me kind of like play around with it a little bit. So, um, and I guess I don't really like know exactly. So there was two different things that I wanted to talk about. There was one for sure I wanted to give kind of my reaction or like the I guess my insight or opinion on the Koberger hearing, and I did go live last week for that hearing and like said some stuff on like before and after, but I kind of wanted to just be able to recap like in a shorter, like more succinct video. So I'm gonna try to work on that, and I was gonna do that first here, but then a bunch of weird stuff just kind of started happening and coming up, and I was just like, no, this is weird enough where I feel like I kind of want to just talk about it or put it out there right now, and you guys can tell me like also if it sounds crazy, but and I do get kind of nervous like about like coming on here and how long it's going to take me and stuff like that. So I'm trying to like not be too hard on myself. I actually have a little like um THC drink with me. It also has like lion's mane, and it's like 7-7 portal or something today. Um so maybe that's why this stuff is all coming out clear. But I have plans to go out for karaoke, which is like karaoke, but the host wears like a cow um out, like not outfit but costume. Anyways, so I'm gonna try to do that. So I'm gonna just limit this. I think it'll be good regardless for me where I'm at to just um stop after I'm like 45 minutes in from this point. But yeah, so I guess I'll just start kind of explaining some of the things that I have like caught my eye lately and just see if anyone else kind of notices like any similarities or think that it's like a little bit weird. And I don't know exactly. I think maybe to just like, ruin the whole kind of like not make you wait till the end, but my consensus of like, I guess like my overview of all of this would be that well, no. Okay, sorry. I don't know. That's stupid. But well, actually, yeah, I'll say that. So basically, I do feel like there is we know that there's like militias that are like present in like the United States. Like we know like they were like involved on January 6th stuff, but they've been around forever. And especially like in the Pacific Northwest region. And like there's also some like weird stuff with like land ownership going on. And like there's always weird stuff with kind of the government versus the individual person like out west. And there are like they back in the day like Utah and Idaho and Montana and Wyoming, and like I think Oregon and Washington too, like they had some pretty like racist laws um and like these groups that were just like overtly racist, like if you've ever heard of like the Order, um and that is just like a big white supremacy like gang or like group or society. And they have been like kind of plotting out, like I feel like they're way ahead of us at this point, and I think that they're overlapping into the kind of like so-called bad guys, like I think that what we think is like going on in our government like has actually probably been like infiltrated. And I mean, I like to hope that our government like knows what's up and is like always like one step ahead of the game, but like the stuff that I'm kind of seeing happening and like is making me question if we do really have a handle on like what's actually happening. So that probably sounds like really weird and vague, so I'll just start talking. But so I think, like I said, there's like a lot of different kind of like incidents that like have happened recently that have sparked my eye, and like I thought were kind of suspicious or weird. And I don't really know where to start. So I think that I will start off with the two cases that have probably been like on the forefront of like the news cycles, and that is having to do with like the firefighter ambush and red rum that happened in Idaho last week. And it was, yeah, here I have some stuff down, written down. So it's all the hold up, what did I say? Oh, I have a lot to say about this. Okay, so that incident kind of has like a lot of components to it, and then also the the explosions, the like it was a illegal fireworks warehouse company that just exploded and like killed a bunch of people in northern California, I believe. And it's been like super shady this week. Like it happened like a week ago, and it was like a huge explosion, and they like still haven't really like come forth with what actually happened. And if you hear the like press releases, it just like really makes you be like, wait, you got like what's happening? Like, I mean, it kind of seems like it's like so. Anyways, let's start there. I guess maybe yeah, let's start with the well, hold up, like which one of these happened first? So the warehouse explosion was on the 7th, or no, the 1st of July last week. So I think it was like a week ago today or tomorrow. And then the firefighter ambush that happened took place on June 29th. And in between is when Koberger had his plea hearing, like out of the blue, and that it seemed to like needed to be rushed. Um, so that was like a little weird. And kind of the stories that they're coming up with a lot of these so-called like accidents or incidents with these, like shit exploding, like explosions happening. Um, they're like, um, they don't really like. Okay, so I'll just start with. Okay, I don't know where to start. Should I do the? See, like, I think those two are kind of separate. Like there's the Idaho firefighters that were just ambushed, and then there was the explosions that happened at the warehouse. Yes. And also, okay, yeah, it's just like it's sorry, it's confusing to me. I'm just like, whoa, it's like all over the place. So I'm just gonna go like chronologically, I guess. Yeah. I also feel like the guy like that was is like now on the run right now, like with the feds looking for him. The what's his name? What's his name? Travis Caleb Decker is like the dad's name. And I feel like that also seems like a little bit weird to me, and like has like a little bit of like overlap with some of these things. So So yeah, I'll just start right off the bat with like the shadiness of this warehouse explosion, and it's just like super weird. So it was like last week they were like all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, there was like this huge explosion that happened," and it was in Northern California and outside of Esperado, like Yolo County, I think it's called. And let's see, I'll pay. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, then they also started prompting evacuations from a mile radius, and then they like refused to go check for any of the survivors or like even to try to like recover any victims, and they like knew that there was like 7 people that were unaccounted for, and it was really messed up because there was like these families that were like, dude, what is happening, and like it was like they just weren't giving them any answers, and it's super messed up. Like we can't just let them get away with that. Like it's just like, and I like really feel bad for the families that they have to like protest right now instead of just being able to like figure out and like mourn this loss. But I do feel like yeah, like they are not being treated fairly. And like when so there was like 7 people that were in this warehouse, and apparently it was a huge warehouse for explosions, and or like for they said fireworks, and but California like doesn't allow fireworks above like a certain grade, but you can get a license to be like a seller of them, like a special license, I'm sure like it doesn't take much besides just like paying something for it. But so apparently this guy that had the warehouse, like they said, okay, yeah, he paid that, so he like does have the license, and they were like, okay. And then no one's kind of like stepping up, like being like, well, yeah, that's like our responsibility. And then like you come to find out like, well, okay, so there was 3 brothers that were involved in it, and they but like all 3 of them have kids. Like 2 of them currently have pregnant like girlfriends and like wives, and one of them just like was like only like 18. He had just graduated high school, and like they just look like cute kids. And um I mean, I don't know like obviously like what they were doing, but it sounded like they were had just picked up these shifts at this warehouse like to try to make money for like the more kids that they have and stuff. And then just like out of nowhere this warehouse just explodes. They don't know how or why, and it's like a like massive explosion. I mean, it's like, and like they started to have to like I said, doing the evacuations, and then they like canceled it because I honestly feel like they don't know actually what is in these explosions. Like I feel like they don't know that it is necessarily all fireworks. Like maybe there's some type of like other like bio weapon stuff, and um like on top of it, I don't know. But it is definitely shady, and they didn't give these families any answers, and they like finally just yesterday retrieved the bodies or like the remains of the people that were there, and they were said that they were going to do some like rapid DNA testing because like it sounds like probably their remains were like probably charred so bad that like you wouldn't be able to like identify them otherwise, because they just let them sit there and like burn out for like 7 days. Like what the hell? And like when it the first night that it happened, like the mom of like the 3 boys was like freaking out, and she was like went up there with her husband and like their dad, and they were walking around like back trying to like there was no one else there. There was like no authorities there, and they were like in the huge explosion area. Like it wasn't like contained or anything, and they were trying to like look for their kids, and like no one came out to talk to them, and no one came out to like update them. And then like as things slowly started coming out, like it would be like there would be some information released to some of the like news reporters, but then the news reporters were like keeping the families updated. Like it was super messed up. And they were obviously just like trying to avoid them and trying to yeah, avoid them because they don't want to have to answer to like what the actual horrible like situation is, because then we come to find out, well, I guess the guy like did have a license, but his license wasn't actually big enough to, or like he didn't have the proper one to be housing like that much explosives. And so then they come to find out, well, who owned the warehouse? Well, it was like apparently this company called it's called Devastating Pyrotechnics. And it like destroyed like all of the buildings of the warehouses there. And they said that there was like two that were originally like injured, but that seems like a little bit like not completely 100% confirmed, like, but maybe there was people initially that there was like some explosions, but they were able to get away, and then there was like seven other people that were like left in the warehouses to like fend for themselves or something. But then they said, well, actually they found out who the guy that owns it is, and it's their sheriff. Like it's the sheriff of the town. And like they were like, wait, but so like wouldn't the sheriff's department be the ones that's like giving, like you have to be coming and checking up and making sure that the warehouse was like meeting the like stipulations. And they were like, um yeah, just I don't know, it's pretty. So and then like the parents had to end up like, and the whole families, they were like protesting outside of like where the like huge warehouse was, which is weird. So I think I'm gonna try to play the recent presser, because this was like today, and it was just, it's so shady to me. Like I'll try to like, I'll put it to go ahead a little bit, but like to go a little bit faster. um okay, wait, hold on. This is, yeah, it's like so weird. Hold on, I don't know, how do I share this now? Sorry, I'm like kind of stupid. Oh, here we go. No, damn it. Okay, hold on one second. I'm stupid with these. Like, here we go. Stop sharing. Oh, wait, hold on. No, damn it. Stop screen. Okay, here we go. Share screen. What? What's going on? Okay, so it's not like. All right, whatever. Sorry, I always get so confused with these, but maybe I can move it over.
As we go through this, and we do understand, we do sympathize with the families of the lost here. So again, I just want to offer our condolences to the family and everybody impacted. With that, I'd like to give some operational updates since the last time we talked. It's been a moment. Over the last several days, we continue to have additional responders arriving on scene every day in different varying capacities from our local, state, and federal partners. Um, as mentioned before, recovery efforts were our primary mission, and those recovery efforts have been for the most part completed. And we continue to work in the area to mitigate the hazards of the undetonated explosives. Throughout the last 2 days, we've been gathering those types of devices and conducting burn-off operations, as we're calling them, to immediately remediate those hazards and issues right here in the area. As mentioned earlier as well, the Office of the State Fire Marshal Bomb and Arson Unit, again, early in the incident, we recognized the magnitude and the complexity of this incident and knew it was beyond our department's capacity, and we've asked for their assistance. They have graciously done that, and they're here with their local, state, and federal partners, and are continuing to do that. They're continuing to support the coroner in their operation and in their investigation. Continuing in as we start moving through this I'm going to say recovery and restoration portion. You know, the last several days have been very fire department recovery type of procedures and operations going on, and we're slowly transitioning into a law enforcement based incident. Our agency is going to remain here, and we're going to stay supportive of all the partners that are here assisting us, because we're very thankful for that. We couldn't make it through an incident like this without them. We're going to stay in unified command and assisting them, but we are slowly transitioning into more of a law enforcement presence and investigation. I did speak with the Office of the State Fire Marshal prior to coming up here to give you what information I could on that, and really the comment is, again, they are working with their local, state, and federal partners and assisting in every which way they can. Given that it is an ongoing investigation, they don't have any comments, but they're committed to assisting as they have been. We're appreciative of that.
Okay, so basically, like, what he's saying here is, like, he's saying that they took the case away from them. Like he says on there, he's part of like Esperanto Fire, and I feel like that's like just kind of it's self-made group. I mean, it's like I think mostly volunteer, and like they do different trainings like that are more like private trainings, and it kind of like varies state by state. But in this situation, they're going to take a step back, and it's actually going to now go to the fire marshals. So the fire marshals are taking over, and he's like, we're just grateful that they're there. But he's kind of like, because you can tell he's saying right now, basically, like, we were in so much over our head that we like had to take a step back, because he's like, this shit's messed up.
And with that, I just want to say thank you to all of you guys for being patient with us, and I really want to express personally my condolences to the family, and I hope that we can continue to get the information to them that's going to help them move into the recovery and start to be able to grieve appropriately. And thank you guys.
All right, well, at this time, I'm going to open up questions, and I will direct your questions appropriately to the appropriate representative. I do want to note that we will not be doing pull-away interviews at this time. And also be aware that we will not be answering any questions regarding permits. More of that will come about later.
Hi. Can you talk to the fact that we found out that a Yolo County Sheriff's lieutenant owns the property, his home was destroyed, as well as a volunteer firefighter owns a fireworks business linked to the same address?
Again, regarding those details, we don't have exact details on that yet. We don't have all the information, and we want to make sure we have all that.
Okay. This is just ridiculous. I'm sorry. I have to play it back at the normal speed, because this whole thing, like, it's just like, I don't even know how they can stand up there and just like not be completely embarrassed and like ashamed. Like, if my bosses like made me do this, I'd just be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, you have to go tell them that. But listen to like what she has to just say to these families who literally have no idea what's happened to their like family members, and the parents have like 3 children that are involved or that like are gone.
Regarding permits,
and like they messed up. Like, they were supposed to be in charge of this area, and it's actually the sheriff that owns this where this all happened. Like, what the hell? And where's the sheriff right now, you know?
More of that will come about later.
Hi. Can you talk to the fact that we found out that a Yolo County Sheriff's lieutenant owns the property, his home was destroyed, as well as a volunteer firefighter owns a fireworks business linked to the same address?
Again, regarding those details, we don't have exact details on that yet. We don't have all the information, and we want to make sure we have all that information prior to just going out with something. So we'll have that information at a later time.
Are those 2 individuals still employed with the respective agencies?
At this time, I don't have that information.
Would you call that a conflict of interest?
I don't have that right now, but that's something that I will go back to our staff and discuss that.
Have you been in contact with those 2 individuals, the sheriff's deputy and the volunteer firefighter?
That'd be a question. I have not personally, no.
And are they being interviewed? Are you able to comment, Chief, on that, whether you've been speaking with the firefighter and whether you've asked him appropriate questions, or is law enforcement asking him questions?
So again, at the beginning, I mean, from day one, we recognized that this incident was beyond our capacity. And so with that, we are not doing the investigation. The Office of the State Fire Marshal is doing that investigation. I'm not going to comment, or I can't comment because I don't know, what their communications with that individual has been. And whether this is right, wrong, or indifferent, I will tell you that, at the beginning of the incident, I did have contact with our volunteer firefighter, because he is a brother in our service, and it's somebody in our community. And so, yeah, we have had, support conversations with him just to make sure that him and his family were okay. But outside of that, as far as the investigation goes, no, we are avoiding any kind of conflict with that. And that is also why, again, this is the State Fire Marshal is the lead on this investigation and not us.
And
Chief,
could you
last
share?
week, Chief, last week, I asked you about inspections at the facility. Have you had a chance to go back and look at your records and find out when the last inspection was here? What was there safety checks done? Did they pass those safety checks? And also, why was your department conducting those inspections when you do have a volunteer firefighter who has this business?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that is part of the ongoing investigation, and I won't comment directly on all. I can't comment
It's like
directly
these
on all of that.
ignorant militias
Again,
out here,
I don't have all that information,
and I
but
feel
I
like
can
they're
tell
like
you, like
part
I've said before,
the
we were aware of
cartel.
the facilities, and I said we did site visits. I did not say we did inspections. So just to clarify that, site visits were just to be aware of what was here, and that's what I could give you on.
So he's like, okay, so we didn't do inspections. We just knew that it was happening and it was here. And it's like, well, what good is that? So basically, you just like knew that he was being shady and putting a bunch of people in danger and literally like allowed him to red rum like 7 people. And like, you don't even know where all that crap came from. And you haven't talked to them. Like, are those the 2 people that survived? Because I don't like know what they're mentioning now with like, I know that there was the one guy that was the like chef, like the sheriff's deputy, but then what about the like volunteer firefighter guy that they were talking about? But like also like I ended up finding kind of, when I was like looking at some of these like overlaps, because I was like, this is just kind of weird that it just seems like there's these areas of the like Pacific Northwest that are kind of like, it's hard to tell the difference between the law enforcement and the like the runners, and like who's like down in South America and like in like Mexico and stuff, like when the like drug lords or drug pins or the like cartel is more powerful than the government. Like that same stuff kind of happens with or did like in Italy too, with like the mob. Like, I mean, it's kind of the same deal. Like, so I feel like that's kind of what we're kind of seeing, but not necessarily like acknowledging at this point. And he is not, they like, none of them are taking like actual accountability for like what is actually like happening right now.
Volunteer firefighter, still a volunteer firefighter with your
The
department.
volunteer firefighter is currently on a leave of absence.
Chief, some families have been concerned about the response initially when it happened with the people that were inside the facility. Can you take us through what was the response initially, knowing that there were people within that building whose lives were at risk?
Yeah, and this is a tough thing to discuss, and as an incident commander of an incident like this, it's a really tough decision to have to make. Again, it's almost hard to talk about it, right?
Oh, God. Fuck you, dude. Turn off the
We
waterworks.
always want to put life safety as our first priority. It is always our first
Like
priority. But
stupid
we also have to be able and be professional and assess the situation for what it really is. And given the magnitude of this incident, staring at that incident, knowing what was occurring, we had to make the most appropriate decision to protect the rest of the lives that were at stake. And so we made the decision to conduct the operation that we did, which was more of a defensive operation in mitigating the spread of the incident.
Prior to the fire, was this
Oh, it was out of
facility
control.
known to you? Did you know there were fireworks at the site?
Again, we have done site visits before, so yes, we knew that there was a facility here.
What does a site visit entail?
A site visit entails just basically coming on site and understanding what the operation looks like and understanding, that is there. Just having for pre-planning and understanding, what something may look like.
In your news release, you said you're going to release information about the investigation itself. Can you walk us through what your knowledge of what might have caused this to go up in the first place? Where does that stand right now? Because as we understand it, this is also zoned for agriculture. And as we all are aware, agriculture supplies can also be quite explosive. Do we have any initial fact finding as to what went off first? The ag stuff or the fireworks or point of origin even at this point?
Again, this is a incredibly complicated incident and investigation. There are so many layers to this. And given, our statements from earlier, we are not the lead agency on this investigation. We've requested the Office of the State Fire Marshal to do that. And so I don't have any comments on the investigation, and I can't answer them and I'm not just saying that because I don't want to give it to you. It's because I don't know. I can't
He's like,
answer
I'm
those
in over
appropriately.
my head.
And we have an obligation as an agency and as humans to make sure that we protect the integrity of this investigation. As much as you all want answers and the family want answers to these things, we have an obligation to make sure that this is done the right way and done thoroughly, so that in the next stages of this incident, as the family begins their recovery process, that we're able to support them with all of the appropriate factual integrity information that they need to recover. So we're going to do our job to
Fucking damn it, my stupid ass microphone was mute. That's annoying. Anyways, I'm sure the universe didn't need me to say that, but basically what I said was he's trying to like gaslight us, being like, we couldn't give you what you wanted because we needed to be doing something for you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, this is all for you. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's like ridiculous. It's like, screw you.
make sure that happens, so that's going to involve not getting comments sometimes. It's going to involve us not having the answers to every question, but it's not because we don't want to. It's because we have an obligation to the family to do that for them.
What? Did you hear that? It's not that we don't want to do that. It's just, it's for the family. It's like, dude, you're talking to the family right now. Like, who are you trying, like, are you just trying to fool yourself? Like, what the hell, dude?
Some residents we were able to speak to, they tell us that they weren't aware that this was a fireworks warehouse. And I just want to know, since you mentioned that you guys did some visits, do we know if they had the water sprinklers or any equipment necessary to respond to a fire like this magnitude?
As this is a part of an ongoing investigation, I don't have a comment on that.
Can you talk to the two people who were injured and treated? Who are they?
I don't have specific names. All I can tell you is that there were two individuals on the property that were assessed immediately following the incident, were treated, and eventually treated at a hospital.
Did they live on the property?
I'm not going to comment on anything further on that.
We've also been
That sounds like a yes, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds like it was probably the shady dude, that the sheriff, and then the volunteer firefighter who's on leave. Like, I mean, obviously, it was those two. So that's weird. Like, did they like instigate this somehow? Like, what's going on?
And what their individual criminal investigation responsibilities are, like where you guys would step in for anything that's criminal and where you would not.
So first off, we're a fire district, right? As the jurisdiction having authority over fire, we do not conduct criminal investigations. Like this incident is beyond our capacity, and I've said this numerous times. That is why we've requested the State Fire Marshal or the Office of the State Fire Marshal to assist. This is a very complicated investigation, a very complex incident, and it's evolving every day. The lines between whose responsibility is what sometimes get a little, blurred, and we have to have those conversations and straighten them out. But to that,
Okay, so right there, he's basically being like, so they're basically being like, who's going to take responsibility for this? And then everyone else is just like hands up in the air, like, well, I don't know who is responsible for that. It must have been those people that were responsible for that. Like, and let's just like now try to like run away and like have them just like stop asking us questions.
don't have any other comments on the investigation because I'm not conducting it.
But I also wonder then there might be a point where police step in. It's kind of more of the gist of my question.
I'll let them answer that question.
And yeah, in what circumstances would you guys step in, I guess, would be my question.
Are there other law enforcement agencies helping you with this investigation? The Davis Police Department, for instance? No, but
the state fire marshal's office is a law enforcement entity. They're handling the investigation. They're the lead. The Iola County District Attorney's Office has offered assistance. ATF has offered assistance. The Sheriff's Office will assist if we're asked. Right now, again, we can't stress enough, the lead agency is the State Fire Marshal's Office. And they're the ones who are going to be providing answers in the future.
So
but
who's
we don't
doing
have them
who's
right
doing
now.
the DNA rapid tests today?
The
And
Iola County Sheriff's Office is obviously the county coroner.
okay, and so that being the case, just wondering if those tests could have been done over the weekend, why today versus the day that all of the remains were gathered? Asking on behalf of the family members who've been standing out at the roadblock for now 6 days.
I can tell you, we've been operating empathetically and with the urgency that the situation demands. There have not been days off. There's no vacations taken here. The deputy coroners have been working nearly around the clock at this, and they will get those answers. They understand that they're needed and they're wanted to bring closure to those individuals. And as far as timing, again, like I said on last Friday, we beg for patience as we get through this so that we can make sure everything is done accurately and we're operating in a world of facts, and especially for those families and loved ones.
Can you
Matt,
share
how often
anything
do you guys
about
talk to families so far?
I forgot it. I was mute again. But yeah, basically he's just like, I can't tell you anything because they won't let us touch anything because we're super shady and we're trying like to get this done, but we're just doing it for the families. It's like, why do you keep bringing the families into this? Like, obviously this is like, you guys totally screwed up. And because of that, like these families have lost their loved ones, and like someone needs to like, fess up and spill the beans about what the hell was going on there. But I know that like one of these sheriff's places is definitely going to owe a crap ton of money.
The sheriff's office has been in near constant communication with them. Every release we make related to the recovery is made from us after speaking with them. Certainly, they're the priority right now.
Can you share anything about Sam Machado? Is he on leave? What's his condition?
I'm not going to get into personnel issues, and I'm not going to get into.
Like that was super awkward. I'm like his voice cracked. I'm not going to get into personnel issues. It's like, oh, okay, that like touched a sensitive spot there, a nerve.
Property ownership right now, those are all aspects that will come out in the investigation that in the face of grieving families just aren't relevant today, but they will become relevant.
Oh my god, this guy, like, what the hell, dude? Like, shut the fuck up, like, while you're a little bit ahead. Like, how could he? They're asking on behalf of the families. Like, is he actually trying to like be like, no, we have a better relationship, like, than you guys? Like, you've made it clear that there's been zero, communication with the families until like today, and the only way that they've actually been getting information is from the freaking news that you've been updating. Like, and like they even had a press release that like they like allowed. This might have actually been it, where they like allowed all of the reporters to come back and like ask some questions, but they like didn't allow the families to go back there. It's like, dude, what? It's like, they're the families. Like, what is going on? Like, answer some questions. Like, what is happening? Like, where are their bodies? Like,
Possibly
are they even
later,
in there?
but those won't be decisions made by the sheriff.
But can you say whether or not he's active right now or on leave?
I cannot.
or-
That would be a personnel issue.
All right, we're going to go ahead and close the questions for right now. But I
Awkward.
do want to say regarding the question regarding services for those families, I know on behalf of Iola County and HHSA, Health and Human Services Agency, we have reached out to those families and offered our full support for them in anything that they need. We are more than welcome to help them with that. And we've offered
Except like the answers to the questions that they're asking for.
that to them. And it's been quite a community collaboration, and we just appreciate everyone's assistance and patience in that as well to help the families and what they need.
Can I ask a question about when you have state, federal, local resources that are all trying to work together on this? You have families that are wanting answers immediately, wanting to know what happened here exactly. I mean, the scope of this investigation, when could you have a clear idea of what exactly played out? I mean, is that going to be days, weeks? Could it be potentially months down the road? I mean,
That would be a question for probably Chair. I don't really have that answer right now.
I didn't even hear what you said.
State, yeah. State
Is it still a crime scene?
Right now, it's still an ongoing investigation, so I don't have the specifics on that, but I'm going to go ahead and close the questions for right now.
To that point, when's your next briefing, and when will we as the media be allowed closer to the actual scene itself, if it's not a crime scene proper?
I don't have an exact time or date on that, but we will do follow-up interviews as well for press conferences in the near future. Any press releases, absolutely, we will have that out as soon as we can when we have more information and more data to give you.
And will we hear from
Fire Marshal be involved in an upcoming briefing so we can ask questions of them?
Yeah, we will connect with them and see if that's something they wish to do at this point.
Seems like a lot of questions are for them and you're not able to answer them, so that would be nice.
were they invited to this briefing?
Yes, absolutely.
And will we hear from the Yolo County Sheriff?
That would be a question. At this point, I don't know at this point right now.
Can you just clarify though, is this a crime scene or not? Because we've heard back and forth, it is, it isn't.
I love these
Is it?
reporters.
I can't question
This
on
is the
that at this
shadiest
point,
home.
at this time, but I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. But please feel free to reach out and go to our yolocounty.gov website for more information, up-to-date information on the OES website. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So let's see.
Breaking news is out of Esparto, where seven people are still missing after that massive explosion at a fireworks facility. Tonight, there are heartbreaking images from before the destruction and after. The buildings reduced to ash and rubble, and the loved ones of those missing are demanding answers. Officials haven't released details about those who are still unaccounted for, and some of those families say they are frustrated and also scared. Thank you for joining us here for our News at 10. I'm Edie Lambert.
And I'm Curtis Mang. Tonight, KCRA has learned a Yolo County Sheriff's lieutenant lived at that property, and an Esparto volunteer firefighter is connected to the company that stored fireworks there. So here's what we know right now. A team from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF, has been called to help local responders. Tonight, crews are also focusing on accessing the facilities. We've seen them using hoses to spray down the site to reduce the hazards. They say their goal is to make that site safe enough to begin recovery operations and the investigation. CAL FIRE says 7 people remain missing. 2 people were hurt. Evacuation orders and road closures remain in place, and 89 customers are without power in that area.
We want to show you how that scene developed. Live Copter 3 has been over the blast zone since shortly after the initial explosion. On the left is what it looked like around 6:30 last night when we first got to the scene. You can see black plumes of smoke. In the center is what it looked like at noon today. The fire still smoldering. And on the right was the scene at 7 o'clock tonight. That facility obviously reduced to rubble, and firefighters said they were still hearing some fireworks going off a whole day later. Officials are still working to figure out what triggered all this destruction, but it's been tough because it's been too dangerous for them to get in, and is being treated as a crime scene to preserve evidence.
Our team is on the ground in Esparto tonight. Catalina Estrada spoke with neighbors who heard and felt that blast. Peyton Headley has details on the cleanup, but first let's get to Andres Valle with the latest on the investigation. Andres?
Yeah, well, Curtis, pretty much the perimeter of the facility is pretty large. So we're pretty far back of where that explosion did happen on that site. And that's because officials say it's extremely dangerous to still be in that area. That's why they're keeping the public away from that area as well, because it's also a crime scene. Now, we do know 7 people are unaccounted for. And tonight we spoke to a family friend of one of those missing people who says officials need to communicate better with them to give them better information to the rest of the families who are waiting answers.
If you all saw what, well, we all saw that on the news, it was like, how are they not at least saying, hey, the chances are very slim.
Darlene Sanchez frustrated over what she describes as a lack of communication from officials after a fireworks facility caught fire and exploded on Tuesday in Esparto.
That was crazy.
Darlene says her best friend's husband, Carlos Javier Rodriguez, is one of the 7 people who is missing.
He's a devoted father, a 41-year-old man who works hard, provides for his family. He's a husband, a dad, a Nino, an uncle, a brother, a best friend.
Darlene says Carlos's family is grieving and they've accepted that he didn't survive.
There's nothing left. And it's been more than 24 hours. So, and I know him that he would have called by now. He would have somehow found a way to communicate to the world like, hey, I'm here.
CAL FIRE is taking the lead on the investigation and has not released any information about the identities of the 7 people who are missing.
There has been communication with family, and I understand that it's not the communication that everybody would probably want to hear. But again, we are doing our best with the information that we have and the information that we can feasibly share.
Okay.
CAL FIRE says it was too dangerous to get into the site because of the magnitude of explosives stored at the facility. Exclusive images from Live
Okay,
Copter
I'm
3
sorry.
showed a
Seriously,
new
like,
development.
what the hell was being stored there? Like, this makes me think that it was like a warehouse of a bunch of like these Pacific Northwestern white supremacists that are like having these militias and like are getting prepared for like jungle warfare, but like in the Rockies and stuff with us. Like, I seriously am like, what's going on? Because like, so this is just the first case because like I have like 7 more incidents that I think are all like connected in some way. Like, and you guys will see. Like, I mean, like, so like I said I was gonna like get off now, but I like feel like I haven't even finished like the first thing that I was gonna talk about. So that's kind of lame. But seems like always the way that it goes is like I'll work myself up like forever to go live, and then I ended up like only being able to go on, like live for like a short amount of time, and then don't even finish like what I'm talking about. But I think I definitely am trying to be. I know I say this every time, but more consistent with my live streams, and this is something that I do really want to get other people's like opinions about and just like get it, like I said, into the ethos because I'm just like what could be actually happening here because there's been yeah, I just don't want to say it like all right now. I just want to be able to like present it. So um but there's like something weird with these fireworks and there seems to be like a lot of incidents that are having like some like pretty dramatic and drastic mishaps like around these so-called fireworks that are supposed to be like completely like illegal in like all these states anyways. So it's just kind of weird, but yeah. Let's see if where's this? I have like a couple of links that I wish I was like, dude, come on. Open. Oh, this is another one. Oh. Oh no. This isn't this one. So anyways, yeah, okay. Well, I think I am going to like call it quits and even though I'm not completely done with talking about this incident, I think that is primarily what I wanted to show you guys. I did want to show you guys like some of the family members like that had like with them actually protesting and like with their signs and I do think that it's something to think about. Like I have kind of noticed that like people from South America and like Mexico like they're like pretty good at being able to recognize when they're getting screwed over by the government and like lied to and they like stick up for themselves and I've seen that happen like a couple of times with them. Like I shouldn't like completely generalize, but I had like really admired like seeing the like I went and traveled in South America for like a month. Like this was like a long time ago. Like but I went all over to like Peru and Brazil and uh what am I forgetting? It's like the other Argentina. And like we ended up we were like in this trek that was like up in the mountains in the Andes, like in Peru, and it was like super beautiful. But we came out like after being up there for like 3 days, which was like super awesome. They like actually like baked me a cake when we were like, going like basically on a trekking trip for like 4 days on my birthday. It was awesome. But then it was like we got out of the forest area, or like, the up in the like, tip top mountains, and more down into some of the like bigger villages, like where you can actually catch like, a bus, or like there's roads and blah blah blah. And when we got down there, we were supposed to like have our night there. That was my birthday, and then we were gonna fly out like the next day. And when we got out, there was like a pretty big like uprising that was happening with a lot of the like Peruvian farmers, and they were protesting because they were like stealing water. Like it was the government came across, and it's like always, and like our government, like the CIA, like totally will back, like, like that's what we're doing on like the Ukraine right now too, is like we won't actually put ourselves down there and like say for sure that it's us, but we'll work with you like behind the scenes, and like basically give you all that you need in order to do some like really illegal and like unethical and unmoral shit, like, like murdering, head leaders that were like elected, and trying to influence different races, and like even different coups. And I mean, we like we were the ones that taught Osama bin Laden and like gave him all those like weapons and stuff to fight, because we wanted him, or we wanted to use them to fight. It was, where was that they were fighting? Was that like Iraq and stuff, and Afghanistan, or was it Israel? Well, I know that definitely Osama bin Laden did not like Israel, because this is interesting, but I like kind of got into 9/11 last summer, because on Reddit there's like a really cool 9/11 subreddit, and I just spent like a ton of time there because I'd never really like really thought about 9/11 like that. But they wait, why was I just kind of lost my train of thought about that. So that's probably better off. Anyways, so yeah, I think I will try to definitely come back on tomorrow. It's like Monday today, so I think I'm gonna, and I don't have anything where I'm gonna be out of town. I've been like out of town a lot like the last couple of weeks, and trying to keep up with all of the filings and like all the news with like Coburger, and like trying to record and stuff, but then also doing stuff like, up in my cabin and stuff like that. But anyways, I don't have any plans to be out of town this week, so I might say that I'm going to go at least live for an hour every day, and I will be following up with the rest of this information that I have, and maybe more stuff will be coming out. Oh, I do want to like say one last thing, because I started to like over like, well, I'll end it off just saying to check out, like, I just uploaded a video on my TikTok and on YouTube with a speaker from LA today, and it was weird, but it seemed like pretty unexpected. They had a lot of the ICE agents like just like infiltrate LA for no like reason at all. And that's the stuff too that it's like scary, and I think it overlaps with some of the stuff that we're seeing here with like these fireworks like facilities, or like random stuff that's going down that people are like, huh, that's kind of weird. But it's like, well, that's actually really weird. That doesn't like add up. And like, why are all these people getting like red rummed, and like a bunch of, even state patrol people, and it's just like in weird ways, like they're getting sniped, and like or sniped, and or like they're having like their car like being a huge like explosion that like melted because of like all these fireworks or something. It's just like seems all like pretty weird. But yeah, I will. Oh yeah, so the thing that I was gonna just finish off saying is that it was pretty weird that ICE people did that and they weren't even really like they didn't know that they were coming into LA, and then they weren't like labeled properly, and they were like unmarked. They were like in an unmarked car. They like showed up in like tanks basically. It was like the military. It looked like the military. And since they don't have like any identification and you can't see their face, it's like it's probably not the real military. It's probably these like fake militaries. And it's like probably people that were in the military that got all like radicalized that now came out and they're like, let me train you on how to do some like, you know, badass stuff that can really help us if we wanted to like overthrow the country or like start in like all white like supremacy network in this specific area, you know, like um so but it was pretty traumatic. And then like the like LA mayor came down and like was kind of arguing with them, but then they had a press conference and I was listening to it, and there's this like one of the first speakers that I think I don't know, she was like they were like some political part, and they made like the best speech, and I was just like so I don't know, like it just felt so powerful, and I it was like just really good to hear. So I really highly recommend. It was nice to hear her take on everything, especially after the weekend that I had kind of stumbling over all of these like extremely weird and shady and just bad energy and like bad vibes in terms of just these power and control like societies that just want to like fight and like see who can get more, but like not actually be there for each other and actually make sure that people like aren't being, you know, traumatized or just like randomly exploded like because they just needed some extra cash, and like there's no accountability for that, you know, like that's stuff that happens in like third world countries. Like we're in America, and like I just feel like we're kind of maybe not even realizing how much some of our like standards are floating away. Like I do wonder like how far ahead some of these, you know, like this isn't like Pablo Escobar, like some coke, you know, pin guide that from the like 80s. I mean, this is like huge groups of people that are actively working together to basically make like an overthrow of like all white people. And I do kind of have evidence of that in all of my notes, so I will get back to that. But I would check out, like I just published that video today. The name of the speaker is I think Eunice Hernandez, but definitely check it out. It's super like empowering, and it made me feel better to think about kind of all the like we do have power and we have the community, as long as we make sure that we create the community and all of that good stuff. So anyways, thank you for being here and being a part of my community. If you have listened through all this, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That probably was a little bit of a chore for you, but I really appreciate anyone that has given me the time of day to hear some of my opinions, and I hope that you'll be interested to continue checking in with the other stuff that I have. And also, if you haven't like subscribed, it would be super awesome if you could subscribe. Like it's like pathetic. Like I'm just like I just really want to hit 500 subscribers, and this is on YouTube, but I'm like 75 short, and I have been for like 10 months or something. So anyways, I don't want to like beg or, but I'm kind of begging. If you haven't subscribed, it's free. So but anyways, I sorry that I have said but anyways a bunch, and I hope everyone has a really good night. I am looking forward to my karaoke night, and I look forward to touching base and speaking more about this stuff tomorrow with you all. Peace and love.